What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to be doing a new video over creating this new about page that we just designed for Primer. We're in the process of rebranding our whole site, so I figured it'd probably be a good time to film a video about my process and how I would go about porting this over into HTML, CSS, and stuff. Eventually, we're going to add some WordPress customization so that you can edit all these fields, but I'll probably do that in a separate video since this one's probably going to be pretty long. I might even break this one up into some different parts depending on how long it's going to take. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So let's just jump right into it. So right now, this is just a basic WordPress site. I've got the page created. But the first thing I want to do is I want to create a new page template. So I'm going to do a new file here and call it page-about.php. And I'm just going to copy the default page HTML that we have just so that we have a starting point. Okay, so by default, I think it'll pick up on this page just based on the name, but let's explicitly set this page to use this template. Template name, it's going to be about page, and yeah, let's edit this page now. Make sure that the template is about page. So let's just make sure that it's using the right template. And it is. Okay, so we're good to go. We've got our about page set up right here, and then we've got our styles right here. So that's pretty much all we need. So the first thing I want to do is want to create this header section right here. We're just calling it page header on the default page, so probably keep it the same. It's got the same gradient as well, I believe. It's a little bit of a different gradient. But that's okay. Let's install the so the first thing, so we've got us. So that's pretty similar to what I already have on the home page. So I'm just going to copy that code. So I've named it home header. So I'm going to do about header here. The same thing. Okay. So we're just going to just straight up copy that. I don't know if the styles are going to port over, but that's okay. Let's copy this. Instead of welcome to Primer, it's about us. Whoa, what just happened? So about us will be right there. Let's see what that looks like. So that looks like shit, actually. So obviously the styles from the home page that I have right here did not port over, but that's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to we're probably just going to bring over the same styles that we have on the home page. So home header, that stuff right there is what we need. Oops, I did not mean to close that. here. We have about header. About header as well. About header. Each one. So that's all good. We'll keep the same classes. That should give us kind of a starting point there. So now we need to actually set that background, this background gradient here. I believe we have something pretty similar to that. So it's totally different than that one. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one for now. I created 426. About header. So I want this about header to have that gradient background. 26. So this one right here. Just copy that. There we go. So that should do it for us. So that's nice. That's a nice gradient right there. It looks like this container is a little wider than what we were previously using. So we will make it, instead of 8, we'll make it 10 for Bootstrap, and that looks just about right. That'll work fine. So change that right there, offset 1. So we're using Bootstrap columns. I use Bootstrap on most of the sites I build just for the speed of how fast you could really develop something with their framework. So we've got that top portion. Okay, so now we're going to have this. We're going to create this this list right here, and those aren't linking anywhere. It's just a list of things that we offer. So I'm going to add it into this. Yeah, might as well just add it right in there. So we're going to create a new unordered list. And we'll just copy those. So this first one's going to be user experience. Second one's going to be interface. Branding, social development. So that looks pretty good. I think we'll just have, honestly, we'll just add a space here like that at the end of each one. That should work fine for now. It's going to be listed vertically to start. So let's, I guess for now, let's just keep moving forward with the markup, and then we'll come back around and style those once we get this header section done. So now this one's just going to be about copy. So we'll just add that about copy. It's just going to be one paragraph. So that works. That's the HTML there. Then we're just going to have, let's just do an H2. Let's meet the crew. So I think that should actually be, that should be it for the markup here. So okay, that's cool. Oops. I was trying to do. So let's just style it down from there now. So that UL, we're going to do about header UL. We want it to be, let me just copy this actually. Oops, not that far. We could right click it, copy CSS attributes. So it's bold, so we want to do font weight bold, and then everything else is already there for us because Sketch is awesome. So we also want to make sure that the list styles are none. We want to make the LIs a display of inline block because we want to be able to center those too. So that looks about right, to be honest with you. But it looks like there's going to be a little more spacing. So instead of what we did here with these bars, let's add a border right just so we have a little more control versus just adding those pipes in the HTML. So that's fine right there. Okay, so we're gonna probably do here, we're gonna do padding right 5 pixels, margin right 5 pixels, border right 1 pixel solid. We'll just make it white. The reason that's spanning so high is because the line height is ridiculous. So we're just gonna get rid of that. Looks a little bit better. It's still a little high. So we still want to get that line height down probably to we'll probably do it like a 0.8. No, you know, we'll just keep it at 1. So that'll work fine. So we'll do line height 1. I think I'm going to add a little more spacing between all of this as well. As you can see, there's a little more, since we are using display inline block, there's a little more margin to the right of that that LI. And actually, I believe if we were just to put these all on the same line, that would actually fix the problem. So I think we could just do that and that'll fix it. Yeah, and as you can see now, the spacing between interface and that like right little orange thing, it's right up on it now. That's just the way display inline block works. It adds a little bit of white space actually in the document. If you have spaces like that, if it's on the next line. And I believe that's 4 pixels, so if we really wanted to, we could have just kept them all on the same line and just, instead of doing margin right 5, we could have just done margin right 1, just subtracting 4, and that would have been exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to keep it like that because it works. So the next thing we need to do is we need to get rid of the border right on the last one. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the last LI that's in that UL. And we're going to say border right none. And that will get rid of it. So that looks good. Make sure that this is the same. So that's 48 pixels away from that. Yeah, so 40. Okay, so 40, we'll say 45. Let's change it to 45. Margin bottom 45. So that's fine. And then the margin bottom for that actual list is 50. So, but we'll do the same thing here. We'll just do 50. UL, do margin. We also, by default, the ULs, you can see over here off the left side, it's got that green, and it also comes with default margin. and that is just default what the browser does it, so we want to reset those and say padding 0, and that's it. Since the override of the margin is happening right there, we don't need to worry about that. So now that'll be perfectly centered, and we've got spacing, so that looks good there. So now, since this content area right here, the width of it, we need to minimize that width there, since the overall container is just too big for that. We need to have it closer to what the width of this the list of services is right here. So let's go back to this. In our about copy right here, we're going to create, so we're already in a container, row, and then we've got the columns right here, but we can nest it again actually. So we can just do another row. Inside the row, we're going to do another column. We're going to do column medium 6 is probably what it's going to be, and then we'll do column medium offset 3. So now we're within there. Let's close both of those out. Make sure that we comment that. I like to close out my divs with comments just to make sure you know, it's just easier to read and it makes it a lot cleaner. So it should be good. Yeah, so that looks a lot better now. So we're probably going to be able to do a little bit bigger than that, honestly. We might be able to get away with 8. Yeah, 8's going to be the right one. So we'll do 8, offset 2, and that looks pretty good there. So what we're going to do now is we'll style the about copy. About copy. And so first things first, we want to grab this here. So it just gave us the background, that's fine. The color of it is going to be white, I believe. Let's just copy the text attributes there. So it's regular, so we don't need that because that's default. It's 22, I'm going to round it to 22 instead of 23. Line height is solid. Let's see what that looks like now. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We just need some padding there. So let's look at what the padding is. So you can do that in Sketch actually by selecting the whatever layer you want to look at and hold Alt and then look at the elements around it. So this one, it's got about 22 on top and 90 on the sides. So we'll do padding 22 and 90. And it's actually not centered either, so what we're going to do is we're just going to align that left. So text align left. Whoops. There's a little more space under it because the paragraph by default is adding 10 pixels, so we could just margin bottom is going to be 0 for that paragraph, so now that'll be exactly the same. Okay. So now you can also see that we've got that little purple under layer under it. I did this on one of the other pages, so I'm just going to copy over the code and kind of explain what's going on there. I'm going to change it up a little bit, the padding just a little bit. I'm going to go to 80. Okay, I think that's all right there. Yeah. All right, so now we want to add that layer that's under the about copy, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to do it with, we're going to use after to do that. So I have it on another page actually. I believe it's just on the home page. Yeah, so I did something similar right here. We're gonna probably have to mess with this one quite a bit to get it to work, but that's all right. And so about copy, we're gonna need to add position relative. The after is gonna be positioned absolutely, so it needs to know where relatively it's gonna be. So I think that's it under it, honestly. We might have to do something with the Z. Oh, that's Z index. Okay. Let's see here. So okay, that's just hanging right over it now. And the height is way too big, so we're just going to bring that down to 100. We're going to say 100. Let's change the color of it as well. And I think, yeah, so that's a good color right there. So obviously it's not going to be sitting over it, and it's going to be in the bottom right instead of top right, so it's going to be bottom versus, yeah, so right, so it's going to be bottom instead of top, and that should actually be, positioning should be fine there. So now we need to just make it so it goes under that div. So we can do that just with negative Z index, you would think. So that it was working on the other one with negative 10. So let's keep the negative 10 and figure out exactly why it's not working on this one. Let's go back to the home page. And this is what coding's about, just debugging, Googling. Half the time I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going along with it. So okay, so that has a Z index as well. Position absolutely, and this one's actually not even, oh, that's position relative. Okay, so I see. So the column above it had to be relative as well. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That wouldn't be it. It's going to be about copy by itself. Z index 10. Now it's laying under now. Okay, so now we need to do, on this one, we need to do position relative Z index 10 as well. I believe that's what I had. Z index 10, position relative index 10. So this one, I think the about copy doesn't need relative. Yeah, that's how you did it. Okay. So that was a little tricky, and that took some time to mess with it for sure, but 932, we don't need relative. All we need is Z index to be above what the after is, and then we also need, we're just gonna target the about header, column medium 8, since that's the only column medium 8, that's fine. We'll do relative, and we'll also do Z index 10. So, some CSS hackery there at its finest. So that looks pretty good, actually. I think we should actually add the margin bottom to the after as well. So here it's 83, so we'll just say 80. Do margin bottom 80, and that didn't do shit. So let's not do that. We'll do margin bottom 80 here. That also didn't really help our case. So we're just not going to mess with that, and we're going to add a margin top to the H2. So we'll do margin top 80, which will probably work better. Yep. So, and we're just going to copy the exact attributes here. Get rid of that. It's going to be font weight bold. And that looks pretty good there. Let's meet the crew. Yeah, that looks great. So I'm going to add a little more margin top just because I think it needs some more space. Because where is it pushing to? It's pushing to the actual bottom of that. It's not taking into the account the underlayer that we created there. And I'm not exactly sure how many pixels, but we can check that actually. Let's get our ruler. Let's take a look at that. Let's figure out exactly how tall that is. So it's about 20 pixels. So let's just do margin top 100 and that'll be perfect. Okay, and how far is it from the bottom? 40. So we're going to do margin top 100, margin bottom 40. So that looks pretty good right there, honestly. Let's meet the crew. Yeah, that's great so far. So our header portion is done. We wrote the HTML, we styled it. I don't know why that's centering. Why is that centering? Oh, text line left. That'll probably help if we actually define it. Yeah, so that looks a lot better. So you can probably see that this top portion is animating as well. And we might as well do that with the rest of the elements on this page. We'll just probably have it fade in just for the top elements since you're not going to really be able to see the bottom elements scroll in on load. So we'll just copy the exact code that they have here. The way I've been doing it is I've been delaying each element by 0.3 seconds. So we'll just add 0.5 here instead of 0.2. The about copy, we can do the same thing, but we'll do 0.8 there. Okay, and then we might as well go with the H2 as well and do the same thing. So we'll do 2.1 on this. 2.1, 2.1, 2.1. So that should be good. Oh, I'll refresh it. Oh, and we have to add some actual classes to make animate.css work. So for now, we'll just do fade in for now. So I'll add a class to the UL. So everything that we just did style-wise, we just added the animation duration, but it's not actually going to work unless we have the animate.css styles applied to those elements. So let's make the crew. So that should work. Yeah, that worked nicely. Let's see that again. Yeah, I think that looked pretty good. So now that we have that top portion set up, we can start building out the actual individual team sections for each one of us. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, so I'm actually going to just break this video up into 2 parts since this initial part took a little longer than I expected it would. So yeah, I'll see you guys in number 2.